Hi guys, thank you for stopping by and tuning into the Survival and Weapons show. Today we're going to take a look at the Lifeline brand survival can. As you can see already on this price tag, I got this from Sport Chalet for $8. A quick lookup, you could find them anywhere. I don't know if Sport Chalet still carries this. I got this about like 5-6 months ago. But if they still do, this is an awesome price, one of the best prices out there. Quick Google search will find you about the closest price to this, about like $9 to $10, and the highest price is about $25 at fishpond.com for $24.97. So if you live in Southern California, where a lot of sport chalets are, or somewhere in Northern California near a sport chalet, you can walk in and check this, pick this up, or you could also order off their website. But so you can see these little emblems right here. This lets you know that inside there's materials to make fire, some first aid, water, signaling, and it tells you the weight at 4.6 ounces. We're just gonna open this up and check it out, see what's in here, and take a look at what they gave us for survival, because it's packaged with vital gear. It does have an expiration date on the back. As I told you, I got this about at least 6 months ago. So this expires in November of this year of 2015. 29 essential piece survival can, and it goes on to list the items and gives you a brief description. So it says weather resistant can, protects contents, and is easy to stow in your backpack. Survival guide just gives you basic information. Waterproof matches, of course, you're good to start a fire. Aluminum foil, cook food, boil water, reflect heat, signal rescuers. I mean, we kind of already know what we could do with aluminum foil in terms of survival setting. Emergency candle provides 6 hours of light. That's nice. Fishing line, 50 feet, 4 hooks, 4 sinkers, so we could catch some fish. Cool, we could get some food. Snare wire, 8 feet. Emergency cord, 10 feet. 3 safety pins, a Ziploc baggie, surgical blade, emergency whistle, 3 feet of duct tape, 5 wound closures, and a compass. So that's all noted right here, and it gives you a brief description. So how about we just cut this open and check it all out. Kershaw Kuro for my house carry. I'll be doing a review on this after I see enough use on it. And then on the front, it also shows us what's in here, and it says weather resistant when sealed, do not open until necessary. We're gonna open it just to check it out. So it's decently stiff to open. And we'll just start pulling everything out. Looks like a tea light candle. Your basic Lifeline emergency waterproof matches. That also common emergency whistle that comes in a lot of kits. Our sandwich bag. Snare wire. Fishing kit. Apparently a warning guide. Okay, so this is all of our contents. Made in China, made in China. So we can see that's how they keep costs down. They had the stuff made and imported from China. And yeah, just basically different warnings telling you that the scalpel blade is a sharp knife, to be careful with it. The battery, I don't think there's even anything in here that requires batteries, but it gives you a warning for batteries. Probably just their generic warning thing. Tells you that a candle can hurt you because it causes fire and burn. Suffocation things and a magnet. Warning about something like a pacemaker, I believe. Cardiac defibrillator and a pacemaker. So that's a warning guide. So essentially, if you're already in survival, you got some tinder already. We got some stainless steel snare wire. And this snare wire is 8 feet, stainless steel. Yeah, just bent it back and forward. It didn't break like a paper clip on those first few bends back, so we might be in luck there. We got 3 safety pins. You never know, you might need to patch up some patch up your clothing. You get it ripped or torn. Which would have been a little bit cooler would be if they included one more, so in case we had like say a poncho or a blanket or something like that, we could in turn use that with the cordage and provide a shelter by being able to anchor into all 4 corners. But 3 is better than 1 corner. So I'm just gonna put that right over here with the snare wire just to know that I got that. Duct tape. This is gonna be 3 feet of duct tape. And it's relatively very sticky. And we all know what you could do with duct tape. I mean, you could rip this apart, make some tinder out of it. You could, again, make a bandage out of it. Again, just like paracord, duct tape's got plenty of uses that you could find. Here's the candle, and it comes in a little tiny baggie, which isn't included as one of your items, but you could keep something in there if you need to. This is about 1¼ to 1½ times the thickness of your average tea light candle. It doesn't smell like your regular unscented candle. It has a sort of a I don't even know how to describe it, but it doesn't have a completely unscented smell to it. And this obviously doesn't look like your regular wax. Our emergency guide tells you about hypothermia, gives you a whole page on hypothermia, which is good to know. Gives you all the things to tell you look out for. Am I lost? Tells you about survival philosophy. Tells you about the mental is just as good as your skills. Again, you always want to have a positive outlook on when you're stuck in a survival situation, because if you don't have the will to live, you're more than likely not going to make it out of there. What to do if you're lost, simple. Gives you some things, tell you about your priorities. Tells you just basically the rule of thumb, you might want to stay in the immediate area if it's safe to do so. So in case rescuers come looking for you, they're more likely, if you're stuck in a vehicle, they're more than likely got to find the vehicle first. Talks to you about water, dehydration, and what water is safe, food, fire, your heat, how to build your shelter, how to make a shelter, a fire platform and your TP style. Gives you some diagrams and some figures. Gives you how to make a tent if you have the materials. Then gives you this other side is essentially your first aid section for these 2 pages. Again, to reiterate, hypothermia, and this tells you about different things ranging from burns and insect sting / bites to full-on things, life-threatening things like shock and head and neck trauma, or even gashes and minor cuts, scrapes, and burns. And this just basically tells you what you should want to bring, like, before you go outdoors, and it more than likely tells you to probably tell a friend, which is always recommended before you go out. Let a friend, at least one friend, someone know where you're going, so in case if you don't come back as scheduled, you got a game plan on how to go about seeing what's up with you and if something went wrong. But this kind of this. It's funny how it says weather resistant, do not open until necessary, but it tells you what to bring before going outdoors. I kind of find that funny, because if you're already opening it's necessary, then I think you're a little bit too far gone than to prepare what to take outdoors since you're already out there. And this is a good thing. It's not laminated, it's just your average piece of paper, so if it gets wet, it's gonna get wrinkled. Your oily hands are gonna mess it up if you handle it a lot. If it gets wet, you're gonna want to take when you're in your survival situation, if you're actually using this, you're gonna want to keep this really safe, because again, it's not laminated, you're just average paper. It will get messed up really easily, so maybe beforehand or so, just get a read up on it. And also, if you ever do need to use it, you could use that as a refresher course while you're out there, because your adrenaline's going to be going, your mind's going to be a million miles an hour thinking, hey, what do I need to do right now? So I mean, it's always good to take a step back and look at the priority things and get an idea and get some refresher courses and some tips and tricks when you need them. Aluminum foil. This one's very reflective, and you hear it all the time that you could use aluminum foil for signaling, although some people say that it's not really worth it, that you should carry around a signal mirror. This one is very reflective, and it doesn't feel like that very thin stuff that you get at the Dollar Tree. I can't vouch to say if this is a Reynolds, I believe that's how you pronounce it, brand aluminum foil, but this is more heavy duty than the stuff you're gonna pick up at the Dollar Tree or your local dollar store, your bargain store, what have you. Sandwich bag, again, use this, procure water. Oh, I'm actually surprised right now. I was thinking actual sandwich size. This looks like it's one of those quart size bags, so you can actually get a decent amount of water. And then, how's the seam on this? Yeah, cool. And then you could use your can to boil water in, because there's no seam. It's all one piece of aluminum steel right here for the base of your can. And what's good about this too, you can make char cloth in the field too with this to aid in fire starting. So that's nice. And if you're boiling water in your tin, you can use this after you already use it to get water to keep your things all together. Yeah. You also got a rubber band, which isn't included, but again, you want to use it for tinder, keep things together. That's nice. So I mean, so far we're looking at 2 extra things that they didn't have listed, but that's very minimal stuff. Okay, we got 4 split shot weights for fishing. These aren't those ones with the, they have that little tab on the outside that you could pull them back to extend them. And just bite them down, squeeze them down right onto your line. So you got 4 of those. And these appear to be all the, yeah, they're all the same size hook. Now I'm not an expert at fishing. I used to do it when I was younger, but I'd probably have to say maybe what, a size 10 or a size 8. Don't quote me, because I'm not going fishing every single day, and I haven't been fishing in about a few years, so I can't give you exact size on that, but I believe it's probably in the range of like 8 or 10 or 12 size, about trout size hooks. But again, you can still snag a larger fish. And this monofilament, yeah, this is mono, I believe. Yeah, mono. This looks probably about size, about 4-pound test, probably 4, 6, about that. And I don't think it's, does it tell us? 50 feet, yeah. Yeah, this is monofilament. It's floating. Our cordage, it's just all tied up. It's that very cheap nylon cord. It's not paracord, but again, you could lash something together. Giving a little bit of stretch. So we have 10 feet of cordage there, and if we ever need to, we could use some of our fishing line also. We also do have some cordage on our whistle. This is made in China. Looks like this snaps into here from the base. Sounds sort of like, doesn't sound exactly like a whistle. It's at a very high pitch. Reminds me of like that Velociraptor call in Jurassic Park. But we do have like at least probably about 2 feet of cordage on this whistle. Little baggie that came with our fishing setup. And you could, I mean, there's plenty of videos for hobo fishing. So I mean, you could, if you find a bottle, you could use a stick or something. We have our waterproof matches. Now I've tried these waterproof matches and they work even though they're wet. Right now I'm just gonna set a few with the heads in the water. And I'll break one like right about here so it could be completely in the water, including the wooden portion of the match. Move this stuff over. Now I kind of like this. I like that they included these 5 wound closure strips. So instead of like, if you get a gash, these are butterfly strips, and pretty much you could use these to effectively close a wound that, say, might require like a small amount of sutures or a staple. These are like the non-medical professional version of steri strips. They're adhesive. You put one side on the wound and you pull it over just so the middle portion of this closure is going to be above the wound, and it'll keep your skin in a way bonded together to allow healing faster. So like, let's just say if my cut was right here down the middle, we're gonna put it like there. And what we'll want to do is have it like that, so it's pretty snug on there. It's not like it's gonna have any slack, to be able to provide some pressure onto the wound site. I've used them once before. The adhesive, to be honest with you right now, the adhesive on these isn't all that great. You might have to, you'll more than likely have to supplement the adhesive on the butterfly closures with your duct tape. But I mean, it's better to have something that could close the wound than being stuck with 1 or 2 band-aids, and that's not going to really help you in your situation, because this butterfly closures will actually close the things more. For navigation, we have a button compass. Now let's check this out and see where it's at. And now, in terms of my city, I'm on the east side of the city that I live on, and I know for a fact that in that direction where I used to live, that's the north side of the city. Give or take, my house was a little bit that way on the north side, but effectively this direction is going to be north. So right now the compass is already facing north. It's facing in the direction of north. And also the iPhone compass is also facing north too. And it may not be exactly that accurate, but it's better than nothing. It'll give you a general direction bearing. And we've had about a minute or so that these matches have been soaking in there. Now this scalpel surgical blade is what has the expiration date on there, and it gives you a lot number. So we'll open this up, and you'll want to be careful with this. Yeah, it's shaving hair off my arm. This looks a lot like one of those hobby knives. Now, you'll want to really be careful with it, because your only real handle to hold this thing is like right here at this curved portion. So you'll want to be really careful unless you want to fashion something, I would say, by putting this in between a stick and splitting it so you can have a more substantial handle to hold on to. It's just push cut right through that paper. So we're doing nice little cuts. Let's just say we need some of this duct tape, and we already opened up our provided blade. We could cut this loose. Duct tape isn't always your friend when you want to cut them, because he sticks to everything. And then if we need to get smaller portions to make tinder or what have you, we could do that. But overall, as you can see, it's going to cut it. We need, say, a couple inches of cordage. We'll cut that loose. We have our cordage. Do we need to cut our fishing line because it's snagged? Snagged on a rock, and there's no chance of retrieving our setup. Yes, we could cut that off. It's like sort of like the worst thing to try to show. So you can see it. So we could cut our duct tape, we could cut paper, we could cut our monofilament, we could cut our line. We could... Can we process some tinder from the matchsticks? We could get some shavings out of it, sort of make a feather stick. Okay. I guess I made it mad. And it'll pierce through cardboard, obviously. Stainless steel blade, comes relatively sharp. Okay, now that we pretty much checked everything else out, let's move on and let's check out our matches. Now they've been stuck in the water. You can see it's floating. You can see the water droplet on it. So let's just see how this is gonna fare. We'll strike it with the water droplet right there. Third strike, it's burning. And that's been in the water for about, I don't know, 3 minutes. Yeah, it started up, I don't know if you see it, it started up and then it died out almost instantly. Okay, this one's basically disintegrating down. This match head was in the water with the portion of the wood. Okay, so pretty much these are basically falling apart after a few minutes in there. Now I did a test with Coleman ones for my bug out bag when I was actually buying waterproof matches. I mean, I got a few different types of matches in my bug out bag, but the Coleman ones, they weren't disintegrating like this until a few hours into it. So pretty much looks like effectively these matches will work out fairly well after 1 or 2 minutes, but not continuous soaking. So if you do take a tumble in the water, you'll more than likely want to get your tin dried out and not full of water as fast as possible. Okay. So yeah, this is just our look at the Lifeline brand survival can, which provides us with a survival guide, tells us first aid things, gives us a knife if we already didn't have it. We get cordage, we get navigation capabilities, we get ways to procure food by way of fishing and trapping, if you know how to do that. I don't believe that it says anything about trapping in here, but again, I just looked at it with you guys on camera. We got a way to transfer flame and keep some flame in case we don't have optimal conditions for fire starting. So we'll light this up with our match, and this is the Lifeline says it's a 6-hour burn time candle. So instead of using our matches one by one to light a fire, we'll light the candle and then we'll have the candle underneath our tinder to be more effective with our supplies in our survival scenario. We have ways to provide first aid to ourselves in case we get a cut, a minor gash, whether it be we fall, get cut by something, who knows what. But I would recommend using the duct tape in conjunction with the butterfly closures on the adhesive parts to give them more strength. We get 3 safety pins, which can be used to repair clothing, aid in making a shelter. We got signaling devices, whether it be from starting a fire, using this whistle as an auditory signal, or using the reflective portion of the aluminum foil as a visual, as well as with the fire to do visual. We get some cordage and ways to build and create things, whether it be from our 50 feet of fishing line or 8 feet of snare wire, the 2 feet that comes on this whistle, or the 10 feet of nylon string, rope, whatever you want to call it, on the, so we get to build stuff or lash something. We could make a handle for our knife with any of these cordage or lashing materials. The blade, it comes sterile from the factory. It even has an expiration date to let you know when it may not be good or whatever. I mean, if it's not pierced, I don't see why it's gonna be bad, but okay. Then we get 2 little baggies for free, essentially, that aren't counted in the materials, and a rubber band, but that's not some groundbreaking uncounted materials for survival. And lastly, we get the can, and we can make char cloth with this. We can boil water, maybe cook some small food if you get a frog or something like that. I don't know what, but you could cook in here. And you could also use aluminum foil to cook. We get this quart size Ziploc bag, that way we can transfer water or carry our gear or store it if we're using the can. And yeah, one other thing, if you want to, like, say, there's also room in here to add more things. It's a little bit more snug when it's from the factory, and it's easier to open. But if you want to aid yourself in terms of survival capabilities and gear, you can add things like, you could say, like one of those those round makeup mirrors, or even those rectangular ones, smaller. You could glue it in to the top of this lid, and it's not gonna take up any space because there's barely anything when it comes from the factory. You just open it up, you put it in there. You could put, say, a big light or a ferro rod a small ferro rod in here. There's a lot more things that you could put. I mean, you could put one of those commando wire saws. There's more things that you could add to here and help yourself out. But what's really nice is that this compass does work. Right now it's all screwed up because all this metal's all around it. But yeah, aside from that, I mean, I think for $8 you're getting a pretty decent amount of stuff. Although the matches aren't that good, you might want to put some of those stormproof matches in there, or even add some tinder too, like maybe some wet fire, some tinder quicks, even cotton balls. But yeah, these aren't the best matches, but they'll get you by. Alright, thanks for stopping by, guys. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to leave me a comment, or yeah, just leave a comment. And if Sportschlei still has these in stock, I'll put a link to their site that has this product available for sale on their website. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. Have a good day, guys.